Hey guys, welcome back to the Dark Souls of podcast. Off screen, we decided to kill off Lethality, so he won't be on anymore, sadly. You see a new video from him, that's not Lethality, that's just DolphinVi doing a really good Lethality impression, continuing his legacy, because we figured he made such good stuff and he just hit 60 subs that we can't just let his legacy die off, you know?
Yeah, I'm like Robert Downey Jr., I can do a convincing black man impression.
Exactly.
I'm a dude playing a dude disguised as another dude.
Yeah. I'm assuming he did that in Black Panther.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so a couple of and also we're joined by someone else tonight in replacement of Lethality, and that is PS Inquisitor. Say hello.
Ooh.
We have a couple of topics to talk about tonight, so or today, or whatever time you're watching this. So let's jump right into it. What topic do you guys want to talk about first?
Well, it sounds like you had a list going down. If you have an idea first, go ahead.
Should we talk
yeah,
about
there was... No,
just not. Should we talk about the fact that Atari is apparently making a new console first?
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
Yeah. So, for those few of you...
A new generation Atari... Sorry, I'm just asking a question. Is this going to be a current generation new games, or is this going to be like one of their callback systems?
Well, no one really knows yet. They haven't really made themselves clear.
Yeah, if I had a guess, I'd say I'm guessing maybe it's a throwback thing. Like, maybe there's a bunch of games on it that from the classic era, but who knows for sure? They haven't said anything directly yes or no, so it could be anything. If it is going to be like if it's supposed to compete with like PC, Xbox One, and PlayStation, and even Switch, then what I have to wonder is like, what the heck are they gonna? Sorry, I'm like wondering what the heck are they gonna do to make it? Like, are they capable of making a system that's has enough power and is also like has a decent amount of third-party support?
I'm wondering, does Atari themselves have the clout to actually get studios to make a game for their system?
The only way I can see it working is if it's some sort of callback thing. Otherwise, it just sounds like something that's doomed to fail. What do you think, Dolphin?
I think it's probably gonna fail.
Yeah, unless even if it's like some sort of callback system.
I mean, what IPs does Atari really have? I mean, they're not Nintendo. No one really knows their IPs instantly. They don't have the.
Well, that's the thing. Atari was they were on a lot of like third party third party. I think it was Atari who actually was it Atari that published Unreal Tournament 3?
They might have. I don't remember. You know, Dolphin?
I didn't know that.
That's why we have
this podcast.
I'm wondering if that's why we haven't seen a new Unreal Tournament in so long. Is because Atari.
Maybe. I only know the only thing I know for certain is I know Atari published one of David Cage's games.
No, that explains it.
How does that explain it? Atari is about video games, and David Cage is about video games.
For those who don't know it, PoppaG has a bit of an interesting relationship with David Cage.
Yes, if you've been watching the previous podcast, you'll know that. But yeah, I have a very interesting love-hate relationship with Mr. David Cage. Not going to go into it right now, unless Mr. Inquisitor here wants to hear about it. Yeah, I'll say that as a no. Anyway, I know for a fact that Atari published the Indigo Prophecy, so they have published games in the past. But like in terms of making games, I don't think they've like made a game in forever. What do you think it'll take for it to be successful, Mr. Inquisitor? Think anything? Do you think it's just doomed on like conception, or?
Oh, I don't think. Well, it really depends. I can't say either way. I'm just gonna do a quick little Atari list. I'm just gonna look at a list of games that Atari has released, and I'm wondering if like they actually have exclusive games made by Atari
That,
to like
maybe,
possibly
like,
do.
They did make some sort of. I know a long time ago they made some sort of contest game where there are some weird puzzles in them, and that the person who solved the puzzles would win some sort of chalice made out of gold or something. I think the Angry Video Game Nerd covered that, so maybe they.
I'm looking at a Wikipedia list, and it looks like the last game that they themselves published was Gremlins, 1984.
Oof.
Really? Not even
Yeah.
not even Indigo Prophecy is on there, because I could have sworn when I played that game that Atari's logo came up.
That's the thing. I don't think Atari actually made the game. They probably just published it.
Yeah. Out of curiosity, have you heard of David Case?
Yeah, isn't he the guy that did the Heavy Rain and is working on Detroit Become Human?
Yes.
Yes, that one. He also made Fahrenheit Indigo Prophecy.
And I'm half considering buying Detroit Become Human Day 1, not because I think it's going to be a great game, but because I think it's going to be a really funny cheese fest, and I kind of want to get into it as soon as possible.
He
What I
also
like about
made
David
Beyond
Cage-
Two Souls. Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually like those games. To me, those are like the 3D console version of a point-and-click adventure, and I do like point-and-click adventure games.
Yeah, I do like point-and-click conventions, and they're done well. And, like, they're... Like, I've always stated this in the past, like, I've said this in different podcasts, I've always stated here, that there are parts of David Cage's games that I think are good and, like, have good ideas or are well executed, but I feel like overall they sort of, like really fail to hit the point. And stuff. But, like, I already covered that in the other podcast, I won't go into too much detail.
I know some of his games are really up. He really tries to leave things up to your own interpretation, so the endings of games can be kind of.
Yeah.
They feel a bit more empty than they should because, well, we want to leave it up to your interpretation. And they're like, that's great, but what was I supposed to interpret?
Yeah.
And other times there's things that I interpret. Every once in a while there's things I interpret that I'm like, that I hope I'm wrong in my interpretation because, let's just say, like, never mind. I'm not going to get into this here.
It's okay. Let me give you an example of what it sounds like here.
Oh, you know what? Okay.
Are any of you guys familiar with a YouTuber called Yules?
No.
Can't say I've heard of him, no.
Spinner. He used to be on YouTube. He was pretty popular. He made like 40-second little clips of him reacting to an article, and he made a killing in terms of views that way. Was that ever since his first viewing of Ghost in the Shell, not the new one. That one does not exist as far as I'm concerned. I'm talking about the original 1998 film.
You mean the real version, quote unquote?
1998 release.
So the real version.
Ghost in the Shell. He saw that. He walked away thinking that the ending had a younger version of Motoko walking away pregnant. And for 20 years, he thought that the ending was her getting pregnant from the transaction between her and the Project 2501.
That's a different, interesting interpretation.
Explained to him what really happened, both from the manga and the movie, which basically she wasn't pregnant. She was supposedly the new being herself, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for someone to have the wrong impression for 20 years and think that was the case. I mean, first impressions are everything.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to remember, what did I think for the longest time, what I was wrong about? For a while I thought PCs are more complicated than consoles, but like, that's not, like, that's a common misconception. Yeah, I really can't think of anything that dramatic that I've, like, had that misinterpretation of.
Oh, good, you're lucky. But it'll happen sooner or later, don't worry.
I think I've had one or two things that were minor, but, like, they were, like, all cleared up really quickly or whatnot. But anyway, like, what I sort of, with my problem with David Cage is I'll like this is a little more. This has less to do with what he makes and more to do with him himself. But like it's hard, and I'm all for separating the art from the person who makes it. Like every once in a while, there's moments in his games that like involve like women getting into certain situations, whether it's almost getting raped or whatnot. That just kind of rubs me the wrong way, and that's because of a couple things.
Yeah.
One thing is, for those of you who don't know, in Beyond Two Souls, apparently through hacking, people have discovered that there's actually a fully made... Like, there's a scene in Beyond Two Souls where Ellen Page takes a shower or whatnot, and you can't see her boobs or any privates or whatnot. Creepy. But, apparently through the hacking, people have discovered a fully rendered naked version of Ellen Page.
Oh,
Really?
more like an incomplete render. If you look at the actual model, she doesn't look proportionately human.
Okay. Well, either way,
And
still,
see?
but I have to ask... Okay.
Oh, we've seen it now. PoppaG, he's actually Jack Thompson. You've been exposed. It's another hot coffee accident.
I'm not saying video... How am I Jack Thompson?
Hey, remember how Jack Thompson got his start with the hot coffee accident? You're bringing that up again.
Right. But like...
I actually did try the hot coffee action replay cheat on PS2, and I got to see it.
What was it like? Was it fun?
Oh, I mean, it's close sex. What else can I say about it?
Uh-oh.
You're basically playing a rhythm game where you're going back and forth, and you got to do it in time in order for it to finish.
Yeah, and was it fun?
As fun
I need
as
to know.
I mean, if you liked Sex and Ride to Hell Retribution, I guess you'd like it here.
I need to know for a friend of mine. You know, like he gets off to that sort of thing. He's really creepy like that. His name is Papa F. That's his name.
Yeah.
Well, that explains a lot.
What is that supposed to mean?
Exactly what you interpret it to mean. That's what it means.
Moving on, anyway, I was saying earlier about David Cage, I was so a little wrong about the model, but even then, like, there's some other creepy things about him, like I mentioned this in the previous podcast, like, apparently, before hiring Ellen Page, before, like, reaching out to Ellen Page to star in his game, he apparently put together a portfolio of Ellen Page, all the way from when she was a little girl up to what age she is now. So that's a little bit creepy in my opinion. And like
Portfolio?
Yeah, like he apparently put together a portfolio of her when she was really young up to her current age to really study her face and really decide if this is the perfect actress for my masterpiece or something. Or at least that's what I...
Well, I mean, from an engineering and artistic standpoint, I can see why that would make sense.
Yeah, fair enough. But at the same time, I can't help but be a little creeped out by that and stuff for some reason. Then again...
Outside of the context of video games, yeah, I can see why that would be creepy.
Yeah, but to be fair enough, and the more and more I think about it in kind of video games. Okay, I've been unfair to David Cage. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, David Cage. You did nothing wrong, and I'm sorry.
Besides Fahrenheit Indigo Prophecy.
Yes.
I heard Indigo Prophecy was a good game, though, on PC.
DolphinVi, do you want to take it here?
That's a bit open to interpretation, that one. The game starts off strong, but then at some point it jumps the shark. Big time.
More and more... here's a good... Let me just tell you about a few writing gems from that game. There's... Near the end of the game, one of the main characters meets another main character. They're male and female. They know each other for a day. It's the night before, like, the big final part of the game. And, she goes to him and says, "I love you," and they immediately have sex right then and there. Keep in mind, they've only known each other for, like, a day. Tops. And beforehand, He was hunting him. Beforehand, like, this person, the female one, was hunting him down. It's because she thought he was a criminal.
Oh my god, she's a predatorial nymphomaniac.
Probably. Also, there's a scene where they they flat out rip off the Matrix, and I'm not talking about necessarily in plot points. I'm talking about in terms of the movie. I just call it the movie. The game kind of turns into a Matrix scene because like they're like jumping off of walls. Like you suddenly out of nowhere just gains the ability to jump out of walls and whatnot, and like do all the sorts of Matrix.
There's a bunch of WTF moments in that one.
They try to.
Well, I mean, Metal Gear Solid: The Twin Snakes was a whole bunch of what the fuck Matrix ripoff.
Yeah, but at least there.
Yeah, but it's Kojima. You kind of expect that. I mean, with this one, it's out of nowhere.
It wasn't even Kojima that made it, though. It wasn't Kojima that made that game. It was Silicon Knights.
Oh, well, it was still Metal Gear Solid then.
Anyway, like the thing is, like they tried to briefly. I think they tried to briefly explain why he's like that by saying he came across some sort of ancient artifact when he was little, which apparently somehow caused him to get Matrix-like powers that he never noticed. Forever.
So what he inserted himself into like Doom DLC and got the time bending power.
I don't know. Just look it up on YouTube. Indigo Prophecy Matrix Seed. You'll find it.
And like I said, I briefly tried to explain it away, but like it's still kind of weird. There's also like near the end of the game, it just goes off the wall. Like the more and more you get into the game, the more and more it just starts being like conspiracy theory levels of crazy. Like there's a part like apparently there's these aliens or weird. I don't even know what the fuck they are. They're these weird AI things that live in the internet that are apparently trying to destroy humanity. Called like the Purple Clan, I think. And then there's the Orange
Purple Clan.
Then there's the Orange Clan that wants to control the world, and all of this. And in order to control the world, they have to get this autistic little girl who apparently is a reincarnation of some ancient being and has great power. And once they get that great power, they can do they'll have all the knowledge in the world. And like,
wow, that's a real.
Yeah, I know.
The more I talk about this, and more, like as I'm talking about this, it really does sound like something that I'd come up when I was 12 years old if I wanted to make some sort of conspiracy theory thing. But no, this is really the game.
Sounds autistic, no offense, but
it sounds like at some point David Cage just like, you know what, just write whatever, make it up as we go.
It's like maybe he was trying to be like Hideo Kojima, but like to be fair, at least in those games you have like cool, memorable characters, but like the characters in that are pretty forgettable.
Well, at least those games maintained the theme of Metal Gear Solid is tactical espionage action. At least they maintained that.
Yeah, and like in Indigo Prophecy, it goes from sort of murder mystery with a slight like magical thing in it to like conspiracy theory levels and other magic. Like it turns into just over the top, the wall bullshit. It's like
Harry Potter meets CSI.
Something like that, yeah. Anyway, but like I wouldn't like, but yeah, if you want to check out Indigo Prophecy, it is a memorable game. I will give it that much.
Memorable is certainly one word for it.
Yeah. Also, speaking of which, I want to apologize to you, DolphinVi. I'm sorry I made you review that game.
Oh, that one.
There could have been worse games.
Yeah, there's been worse. I mean, I could have had to review Ride to Hell.
Maybe I'll make you review that next. Anyway, so what should we talk about next?
Nintendo's upcoming subscription service, whatever it is.
Yeah. So we briefly brought this up in the past, but for like a few of you who are living in the cave, Nintendo are killing the dream of having consoles have free online come this fall. So I'm really disappointed in them. I'm still kind of hoping they'll just keep on delaying it until it's like it's on indefinite hiatus. But I know it's probably not going to happen.
No.
I don't know if Nintendo being online was ever really a dream at all, to be honest.
It was more so that, like, if they were going to offer it, I was hoping it would be free.
Well,
yeah, The thing
can't
is,
blame
Nintendo has no
for it.
right. Nintendo has no right to charge, like to charge a fee to play online with their console when their online system is such bullshit in the first place.
Yeah, true.
That is true. That is pretty much true.
What they had with the Wii U, you basically had to have a cell phone strapped to your fucking head.
I played a little bit of Splatoon 2, and as it is right now, it's serviceable. Like, I mean, you can't do voice chats, but like in terms of like matches happening and whatnot, like it happens pretty fast and like it's pretty serviceable. But it's like that still doesn't mean it's worth paying money for it. So,
No, it's like they expect you to have Skype or Discord open while you're playing the game at the same time and wearing a headset for the computer and one for the game. And
Yeah. I don't know why they did that, especially when they found voice chat on the Switch.
yeah.
It was like, what the hell, Nintendo? Just get rid of the app. It was a bad idea.
For God's sake, even the Vita had cross-platform, had cross-game chat.
I've
Cross-platform
heard
even.
rumors that apparently Discord has reached out to Nintendo in terms of helping them with that. So we'll see where that goes.
Hopefully somewhere good.
I mean, Discord would have to make a very light version of their service in order for it to work on the Switch.
I was saying like that's the rumor I've heard. So like, no one come to me and say PoppaG, you lied to us. Why did you lie to me and stuff? I'm just relaying rumors. Yeah. Either way though, it's like I don't know. Here's the good thing. It's $20. That's literally the only good thing I can think about this. Is that it's like a lot cheaper than like what they offer on PlayStation and Xbox. But that doesn't mean that it's any less bullshit and stuff because
Well, it's not the best service. At least they're not overcharging for it.
that is true. I do appreciate
Yeah.
they're not like overcharging for it, but it's like
Unlike EA, who makes a bad service and then overcharges for it.
I heard Origin is actually decent though. Isn't it, or am I wrong?
Now that we're on the topic of EA, I do have a question.
Okay.
Yes.
Are either two of you familiar with a person called John Kill 3D Gaming?
We wouldn't
Yes.
have me and DolphinVi literally wouldn't have met if it wasn't for him.
Oh. Okay then. Well, he recently made a new video regarding Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Mm-hmm.
Video, he is beating his chest saying, "Yes, all my previous videos were correct and right, and fuck all you guys who said I was wrong, because EA has now redone the progression system."
How does that mean he was right? Wasn't he? I haven't seen his older videos, but based on what little I've
Right.
heard,
I actually left a comment on his video saying, "You're trying to take credit for a move that EA did, which wouldn't have happened in the first place if they hadn't made a shit service to begin with.
I
Your
thought,
logic is baffling."
wasn't he saying the service was perfectly fine? So like, how would he be right if he was saying the service?
In that the game was completely playable without the use of the loot crate microtransaction system. The problem is, everyone knew this, that the loot crate system was irreversibly tied to progression.
Okay.
You couldn't progress your character without getting loot crates. Now, he claimed that he was able to get all of his characters and everything else maxed out. The thing is, the guy has no fucking job, and he played for 3 days straight.
Did he really?
Yeah.
How do you know this? Did he say this? Or are you just assuming?
It's kind of spread out through several videos, but you do basically get the basic notion is that he was on break from school, and his break lasted about over the course of a weekend. He was able to play his Star Wars Battlefront 2 game and unlock all of this stuff.
Did he play just like non-stop? Jesus. Like, I love video games.
I mean, anyone can do it. Well, the guy doesn't understand. Most of us actually have work. We have a job. We have an employment. And it takes a lot of work to get that stuff done. It takes a lot of time out of our day. We don't have the spare time that this idiot happens to have.
That, and we also want to live somewhat healthy lives. Like, I love video games. That, like,
Well, exactly.
But spending, like, spending, like, 3 days...
The 40 hours. a combined 40 hours necessary to unlock all of these characters is
Whoa.
not healthy for the human body.
If you're doing that at that point, then I'd recommend you to the Game Quitters channel I found.
Yeah, that's
But
naturally.
basically him saying how he was right, everyone else was wrong, and we know John Kill 3D. He basically he will rehash the same points he's made before, assuming that he's correct and that everyone else is bullshit.
Yeah.
You know, I made a video directly addressing the things that he was saying, and then he chose to say, "Well, you're wrong anyway." Well, okay, forget the logic in front of you.
Ignore the fact. If you ignore the facts in front of you, you become right. Is that pretty much what he said?
If you remove all the bad taste and all the bad smell, well, shit tastes pretty good.
Yeah.
What were you trying to? Who are you impersonating just now? I feel like that's a reference to something, or is that just?
I think it's one of those Hanna-Barbera characters that.
Oh yeah, I know. I can't remember his name, but I know who. Anyway, well, that's John Kill 3D for you. He never changes. Does anyone know if he's still part of the PlayStation Legion podcast?
No, he's not part of them anymore. He stopped that at
No,
least.
he actually thinks that I'm a part of the Legion.
He does. Why does he think you're part of the Legion?
His name's PS Inquisitor. That's why.
Oh.
It's actually how we
The YouTube,
first
YouTube
met.
channel's called the
TS.
PlayStation Inquisition. The fact that I got PlayStation as the first part of my name, I guess they all assume that I'm part of the Legion.
Okay. Well, the thing is, with the Legion, I can, remember coming across a video once, that was, saying Jaytechtv was an idiot, and there was a lot of dislikes on it. And I was able to instantly tell someone from the Legion, not because, they said they liked PlayStation, but because of the way they talked. They would say things like, "You're wrong, fuck you," or Jaytechtv is smart, and stuff. And I was just I instantly knew then, yeah, you're part of the PlayStation Legion, and I checked their YouTube page, and I was like, "Yup."
Other one, the first thing they say is, "Oh, PC gamers report begging PlayStation games."
Really?
I know. It's I really hate the term port begging.
You've made more than enough videos on that topic, haven't you, Dolphin?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We don't need to reiterate ourselves. But yeah, anyway, I'm back on Kill 3D. Here's a question. Does anyone know why he left? Did him and Jaytechtv have some creative differences?
I guess Jaytechtv was a little too extreme even for him.
Yeah. I don't know.
What are we talking about?
I was wondering if if anyone knew why John Kill 3D left the PlayStation podcast, because I remember it was all very sudden. He just suddenly joined, and then one day he just suddenly left.
He's very, what's the word? Spontaneous. Very impulsive.
Yeah. He does seem like the type to be very impulsive.
Yeah, he is.
It seems to be the type to double, triple, and quadruple down when proven wrong, or if he's questioned about it.
He doubles down on a point that he believes is correct, and then he foul language towards anyone who he thinks is wrong.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think, I've used some foul language about some people I like, but for the most, I hate, I never got this idea, why people are fuck you, or fuck this or that when you're trying to have an intelligent conversation about, why...
Well, if you're going to be cussing every 5 words, it's not really an intelligent conversation.
No.
And that's part of, controversial opinion. That's part of why I can't get into the YouTuber Lewis Review, who I watched some of his videos, and some of his points I agree on. My problem is literally every video, he starts off in a calm voice, "Hey guys, I want to talk about this stuff." Then by the midway point in the video, he's yelling at the top of his lungs about this problem that is annoying him this week. Literally every video is like that, and it's just impossible for me to take him seriously because literally every video is like that. So he starts out calm, but then quickly gets angry by whatever political topic he's talking about.
Oh man,
What?
Let's keep politics out of video games.
I agree.
Yeah, let's
Try-
try.
Into video games.
Fair enough. For the record, I didn't say anything about his political opinions. I just said I hate his presentation. Anyway. What else do we talk about? Oh yeah. Here's one question I have to have about Nintendo service. Like, I know what my answer is. My answer is probably no. Is there anything Nintendo could do to convince you that their subscription service is of value or something?
Well, if
Honestly,
and
if
this
you're in-
was a pretty big if, I'm not sure they would do it. If they were to, and I can't believe I'm saying this with a straight face, if they were to make it more like EA Access, probably.
I actually see where you're, I see where you're coming from.
EA Access, believe it or not, is actually pretty pro-consumer in that regard.
Yeah.
Yeah, even EA can do something pro-consumer.
Like, if you're just a Nintendo fan and all you play is Nintendo, not for any malicious reasons toward other consoles, but just like that's your thing and that's what you like.
Like, if you're really into some like the multiplayer games that are on there, and I could see that. But like other than that, though, I don't know if I'd really recommend it. It's like here's the thing, because like if you are a big multiplayer guy, I can't really see like the Nintendo Switch being really the place to be. Like I think multiplayer places are either either PS4, Xbox One, or PC. Like mostly PC, but like there is a decent amount of people on console. And like I don't know, I guess there's the Splatoon community and like the Mario 8 community that's decently sized. What was that? Sorry, did you say something? But never mind. But like other than
I mean, if you're really into multiplayer gaming, there's
so much better available elsewhere.
Nintendo's been more of a local multiplayer thing, not so much. Okay, Rick, shut up. Where's my cell phone?
Anyway, yeah,
Keeps going off on me.
Exactly. Like
Nintendo's more of a local multiplayer kind of thing. It's like if you played N64, Super Nintendo, GameCube, all those things, it was always something that you and 3 other friends would sit on a couch and play. It was never really much of an online thing.
Yeah, and I think they it seems like they're like I think to some degree aiming to do that with at least some of the games they released. Like this is I haven't played it, but like apparently the game Snipper Clips is co-op or something.
Yeah, it is. That's the point of the game.
And anyway, I think there's right now this is me just speculation, but like I think they're probably in the coming year or two probably going to try to emphasize that with like the upcoming Smash Brothers coming up and whatnot. Like to be fair, we know nothing about it and stuff, so I shouldn't make assumptions.
When it comes to multiplayer, I think the best place Nintendo shines is in their Smash Bros. And Mario Party games.
Yeah, but when it comes to local, it's stuff like it doesn't really. Not their strong suit, so it's like seems weird. Like, I mean, I understand why they're doing it because money, but like I really don't understand why. If you're not like a Splatoon or Mario Kart 8 fan, why would you get the $20 subscription fee? You know, seems just kind of weird. You know,
Cut their teeth on online services a little longer before they start going full into it.
Yeah. To be fair, they did delay
It used to function just fine. It's the player-to-player interaction that really needs a lot of work.
Yeah, which is like the main point of multiplayer.
Yeah, how do you screw that one up, seriously?
Yeah, it's like you got everything right except for literally the most important part right. That's Fallout 4 in a nutshell. Ew.
Great, you discovered how to make money with the internet. Now can you show us how to play with each other?
The problem with Fallout 4 is there was just nothing there.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. Fallout 4 is a pretty much a mediocre game. They're like I kind of like the what is it called? Settlement system, even though it had a lot to be desired, and there were like 2 or 3 quests that are kind of interesting, but for the most part it wasn't very good. Like just kind of mediocre.
It's interesting if you're one of those RPG fans who likes to build and stuff. But Fallout 4's got nothing multiplayer-wise in it, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, like the reason why I kind of do like the settlement system is because I do like the idea of like you're rebuilding society to a small extent or whatnot. And I kind of like that idea in a post-apocalyptic kind of game. Like, you know, you sort of
It's good to feel needed.
Yeah.
If only there was more depth to it.
Yeah. And, like, there is a lot more to be desired from.
Another settlement needs your assistance. I will mark it on your map. Bye-bye.
Seriously, another one? Why do all these settlements settle right in the middle of bandit territory?
Have you seen
Territory for that matter.
the best video on the internet was apparently at this con where a guy was interviewing a ghoul and said, like, what are you going to do about the local jet problem in the community? And literally some guy dressed as Preston Garvey came up and said, what about the settlement problem? And he looked right into the camera and said, there's another settlement that needs your help, General. Like, I'll mark it on your map. That is the best video on the internet.
It's so awful. I know. There are entire guides on how to get by just skipping the Minutemen. They're that painful.
Okay, you guys know Smash Games?
What? Smash?
They do a lot of animations.
The name sounds familiar, but like I'm not too familiar with them. No.
Like, they do a lot of animations, and one of their animations was on Fallout 4 mods. And
I think I know
it was this one mod where Preston just keeps his mouth shut the whole time. He looks like he's having a seizure, and he's just keeping his mouth shut. And then the whole universe starts getting ripped apart because of it. It's like the fabric of reality has been distorted.
Hilarious. One thing I want to do with Fallout 4 is play it again, but play the hardcore mode to see if it's any better or any funner that way.
Dude, you're gonna rip your hair out with those kind of modes because there's no way you can drink water every 5 minutes when water is so friggin' hard to find.
Well, like the thing is, like, is it really that bad? Because like I replayed Fallout New Vegas, which I think for the most part is a great game, but like one of the few things I found disappointing about it was the hardcore system, where you didn't really have to worry that much about drinking water or sleeping that much. You could like wait for like hours and hours before you have to even worry about that. So like, is it really that bad in Fallout 4?
I never bothered to try it, really, to be honest.
Fair enough. Also, like, I'll try to see if it makes the game any better, or more likely it'll probably just make it more tedious and boring.
Whole settlement system to all that, I mean, it might make it a little easier, but like if you're out in the boonies with no light and you got like super mutants and that, the one thing I hate the most about Fallout 4, two things actually: the feral ghouls and the fucking blood bugs.
Mm-hmm.
What is that?
The blood bugs are like these giant, oversized mosquitoes that you can't hit for shit in VATS or otherwise.
Right, I know what you're talking about now.
I don't like the fact that they can be 50 feet away from you, but they can still do a lunge attack and then beat the shit out of you.
Sure. That is pretty annoying.
This mod onto my PS4 where the ghouls don't sprint at all; they just sort of limp along.
So they're just zombies.
I mean, these are supposed to be decrepit creatures whose muscles have all but atrophied. How the hell are they supposed to be able to sprint and smack you like they're fucking
Just
trying to get a home run with your face, you know?
Here's an idea. Like, what is your, out of the three of us, because we're obviously not big fans of Fallout 4, but like, what is your favorite and least favorite thing of Fallout 4? Like, what was one thing Fallout 4 actually did that was right? For me personally, yeah.
Go ahead, you first.
Okay. For me, Fallout 4 actually succeeded a lot in a lot of small ways. I liked a lot of the little tweaks they did. Like, there was crosshairs now. I liked how, like, in the subtle changes to VATS, where, like, it moved slowly, and, instead of pausing and stuff, that caused you to think more quickly. I did like I said earlier, I like the settlement system, even though it's kind of underdeveloped and has a lot to be desired. I like the concept of it, and I kind of like playing around with the game. There's at least 2 or 3 quests I kind of like, and 2 or 3 companions I kind of like. As for most disappointing, like, I could go all day with that. Probably main thing is just like how, like, kind of this downgraded is compared to Fallout New Vegas, and how it just feels like there's nothing new there. What is yours? Like, what's your favorite and least favorite?
favorite thing has to be the gunplay overall.
Oh yeah.
Being able to aim down the iron sights, being able to customize your weapons, if even to a limited extent, the gunplay overall was vastly improved.
Yes, the gunplay. I forgot that too. The gunplay was pretty good as well.
Yeah.
And
My least favorite part is probably the lack of dialogue choices.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They were trying to do I think they were trying to do a Mass Effect thing, but really failed horribly at it.
Look at the dialogue choices you could have in Fallout New Vegas, and there was this one choice where if you're psychotic enough or whatever, and you build up the character in that way, you had this what they call the terrifying presence perk.
Oh yeah, I know. I love that perk. I don't use it personally, but like I've seen.
It seems like such a missed opportunity to have like a character, especially a voiced character, where you could have like a terrifying presence in some of the dialogue, and yet instead all we get is, like you said, this cheesy Mass Effect. Even Mass Effect had more options than the dialogue.
Yeah, I think.
I'm trying to think
think
the
a lot
option
of-
They only give you
was,
4 options.
tell me more, okay, I'll do it, ugh, fine, I'll do it, or yes, I'll do it. I think those are the options, right?
Every
Good
once in a while, you
bland.
get into a every once in a blue moon, you'll get into a conversation where you're allowed to have a little more depth, a little bit. But even then, that's only every once in a while, where you can be like,
Well, the only time that ever happens is if you decided to start your character with like 10 charisma.
well, like not only that, there's some quests where you like are getting into conversations and you're asked for your opinion on something, and you get 4 options on whether your opinion is. Where it's like, I think it's either completely yes, completely no, leaning towards yes, or leaning towards no. Well, not always that, but like, you get the point I'm trying to say. Where it's like sometimes in quests you're allowed to have a little bit of personality, but like
No, I never actually tried it yet. But what if you have before you had your character at minimum intelligence? Does that mean they sound like a Neanderthal when they're doing dialogue, or are they going to sound just like they always do?
pretty certain they just sound like they always do, which is another missed opportunity.
Another missed opportunity, because I would have loved to see like this, like I said, a Neanderthal walking through the game trying to talk to people.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
New Vegas, if your intelligence was low enough, your dialogue choices actually reflected that.
yeah, that's true. Just like Fallout 1 and 2. Yeah, it's especially great in what is it called? Not Nellis. Helios 1, and Helios 1 is especially good. Yeah, Helios 1 is like hilarious. If for those of you who haven't seen it, look up Fallout New Vegas Helios 1 at low intelligence. It's hilarious.
Okay, I will.
And like anyway, Fallout 4's biggest problems I think are that that it's either too dumbed down or like decisions are made that were just wrong. Oh yeah, I forgot to ask you, DolphinVi, what is your favorite and least favorite part of Fallout? Or the part you actually think it did well at?
A Fallout 4 part that I think it did well.
Yeah. Like we all agree it's overall it was a disappointment, it wasn't very good of a game, but like it's fun to like say good things about bad games. So like, do you have anything about it was done well that we haven't stated?
I can't really think of too much. I
Okay,
mean,
fair enough.
overall, it wasn't a terrible game. I think that's
Yeah.
the kindest thing I can say about it.
Yeah.
It was a passable entry to the series, in other words.
Maybe.
Yeah.
It's like,
It wasn't offensive, but it wasn't really good either.
it's like it's on its own, it's kind of a mediocre, maybe passable game, but like when you compare it to its predecessors, it becomes even worse. Because like I'm a big Fallout fan, and like I love the Fallout series, like the early entries, the older entries, or at least like I don't know, you know what I'm trying to say. I mean, like Fallout 3 isn't as good as like the other entries, but I still think Fallout 3 is decent. But like Fallout New Vegas, DolphinVi, I keep on trying to tell you, you gotta play that game. Oh,
I will
amazing.
at some point.
And saying, if you play Fallout New Vegas,
That graphics mod that seems to put it on par with Fallout 4, because that looks amazing.
Yeah, or any of the quest mod. You should get some of the quest mods for Fallout New Vegas. Like Fallout New Vegas is already a great game, but some of the quest mods for New Vegas are like really great, and like add a lot to the game and stuff. And here's the deal, DolphinVi. If you ever get around, if you finally play Fallout New Vegas, I'll finally play Final Fantasy 15.
No, is that a promise we're hearing now?
Yeah.
I will say this: Final
the
Fantasy
villain's
15,
known.
Final Fantasy 15, not entirely a bad game. not perfectly executed.
Yeah, there were problems with it when it came out. I admit that. They really got the villain right this time, though, not like the Final Fantasy 13 one.
I do plan on playing Final Fantasy 15 regardless, but like I keep on just putting it off just because there's other games I was like interested in and stuff, and I'm saving it Final Fantasy 15. Like,
I think the combat system in Final Fantasy 15 is actually kind of fresh. Like, it's not so much that you're not getting random encounters. You do actually have the option to avoid certain enemies if you wish. But I mean, even early on in the game, I was able to go up into the crater of the volcano and defeat all the enemies up there, and come back down with like a ridiculous amount of experience.
Really, I find that interesting because, like, I mean, I've heard mixed things on the combat, but like one common complaint I've heard from at least a lot of people that I've talked to personally, on both on and offline, was that the combat felt like either like sort of felt like flaccid or like a wannabe Kingdom Hearts, but like not quite as good or whatnot.
It takes a little getting used to. You have to figure out what does what and how to time what you do. Get used to it. The combat becomes pretty easy. It's just a matter of, avoid getting hit and then strike at the right time.
So it's like timing and whatnot.
Yeah.
Involved with what you're doing.
Very interesting.
You have to be paying attention really closely.
Yeah.
Also, like, make sure whenever you go to those campgrounds, absorb as much magic as you can from those elemental stones, because that is how you craft your elemental spells.
Okay. Cool.
And save your life.
Okay, sounds cool. Thanks for giving me the advice. Hope the people at home also appreciated it. Should we talk about, should we move on to another topic, or is there anything else we have to say about Final Fantasy 15?
I'm kind of interested in what the next topic's going to be.
I guess we could talk about, Sea of Thieves is the greatest new IP. Metacritic scores don't matter. Change my mind. That one.
Yeah. Craft gamer, huh?
Yeah, living up to his name.
Also, fun fact. I told the other two before we started this podcast, but I'll tell everyone else at home who haven't seen this. On a recent live stream, Mooch and Craft Gamer were playing Sea of Thieves, and near the end of it, Mooch was starting to complain a bit about how he felt Sea of Thieves was like a bit empty or whatnot. I think he said something like, "Some people are complaining about this, and I have to agree with some." The Craft Gamer was like, "No, what are you talking about, man? It's a full game and whatnot." And we kept on coming up with excuses, and they sort of just ended in a big argument. The part ended with like a big argument of them talking about it, and then like they just stopped, and then they just pretty much said, "See you next week, guys." It was just ended really awkwardly. They just had this big argument about like whether Sea of Thieves was empty or whether the $60 price tag was justified. And like I just found it really funny because I just found it interesting how the Mooch of all people was the one to call out Crap Gamer.
Yep. I think the Mooch would actually commit heresy.
Maybe he'll be the next one to be excommunicated from their cult.
Yeah, I think Next Gen 720 was recently excommunicated, I think.
Yeah. I'm sorry to hear that Next Gen 720. We always have openings over on the Dark Souls side. Actually, never mind. Let's not invite him over.
Next Gen 720?
Yeah. I mean, he's not watching this anyway, but can you imagine if Next Gen 720 was on this podcast?
That'd be awkward.
Oh, that'd be super awkward.
On one of my videos. I don't get it.
What did he say?
Apparently, I just received a copyright claim on one of my YouTube videos. It better not be what I thought.
I hope it's not.
Well, you can get you can get a copyright to anything.
My stream has copyrighted what is this? Oh, fuck you!
Fuck you.
Music oh my god! I played a little bit of music on my Google Play or on my Google my Google Home device, and now they're.
Sorry,
I'm just gonna remove the song.
Yep.
Sorry, man.
I know.
That sucks.
Oh my god.
Anyway,
things, and they're going to say, "Oh, well, you can't have that music. It belongs to us."
Did you only have like 2 or 3 views on that live stream? I'm sure the people who copyright claims.
Yeah, only like 2 views, but that's not the point. The point is that they think they can just, on there, we're gonna take it away from you now, like the whole fucking video.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because whoever owns that song really needs the collective 2 cents you probably made off that video if you did that.
Oh, they really need to collect that money, man. They need to collect that .00 pesos that came off the video.
They really, really need that money. And they're really desperate for literally anything, and like your video, like robs them of like not even like 20 pesos, not even like probably nothing.
Mm-hmm. In that case, here's a little pro tip for you: don't ever play Spec Ops: The Line on YouTube.
Why is that? What happened to Spec Ops?
Enlighten us, please.
Because they'll copyright you for the music that's in the video game. Yeah, seriously, they've copyrighted me for that.
You also need to be a little careful with Fallout New Vegas and whatnot, and like copyrighted music. So.
Yeah.
Well, I found out that one of my live streams of Fallout 4 actually muted the music to the radio that you were on the Pit-Boy.
Well, that's like something good, I guess, sort of. At least it's...
It shouldn't be the case, though. I mean, we're talking about people who've been dead for decades. I mean, even Mozart gets copyrighted.
I know, it's stupid. It's like... well,
for God knows how many centuries, and his content's being... His music is being copyrighted by some arbitrary company because music exists and we must have our money, our profits.
Grossly oversimplified issue. What happened was, it used to be that copyright was only in place for the artist and his family to make money, and then once the artist died, it would be public domain. But then Disney wanted to make more money, and it was like, we want Mickey Mouse to be this, and they changed copyrights, and now people can do whatever they want. That's a gross oversimplification of the issue, but that's sort of it in a very condensed nutshell.
So Disney ruined Star Wars and music. Thanks, Disney.
I think it was Disney. I know Disney definitely played a part in it, but I don't know if they were the one who started it.
Disney murdered Star Wars.
Rian Johnson did nothing wrong, guys. So you understand. And how can they murder Star Wars when it was already dead to begin with?
The prequels did not kill Star Wars that much. Okay,
oh,
Star Wars was weak. Rian Johnson just finished it off.
The prequels were like a community service compared to the new movies.
I still maintain Rian Johnson did nothing wrong. He is he is a good boy who did nothing. You guys are just too stupid to appreciate him. Let's all seriousness though. Like,
is that your impersonation of John Kill?
No, it's not my impersonation.
It's kind of a meme where he tries to convince us that Rian Johnson did nothing wrong.
I say that because The Last Jedi is kind of a guilty pleasure and stuff.
Last Jedi is...
I know. I know.
Sorry, I'm sorry for yelling that out, but good God, what they did to Luke's character in that movie.
There's actually another podcast where I debated this with DolphinVi and Lethality.
It's pretty much every podcast this comes up in some way, shape, or form.
You know what? We might as well just call us like we talk about The Last Jedi, even though it's been dead for a few months now. Luke, I think what they did with Luke, for the most part, to me, made sense because
sense in what universe?
Listen, hear me out. Okay. Like, most of the movie I will not defend, but there's one thing I will defend to my grave. Like, I've stuck true to I've doubled down, so I have to triple down, okay?
Dude, you can back away, we won't judge you.
No, I can't. Like, I stated, like, if I back out now, I'll just look like a fucking
One of the most
idiot.
hopeful and optimistic people in the entire Star Wars cast.
Yes,
the very person who believed in his own father and brought him back from the dark side.
Yes, but like you remember,
is going to kill some dude. Is going to kill some young child because he might turn to the dark side.
But yes, but like here's the thing: he thought about it. He didn't actually do it. At the last moment, he was about to if you remember from the original trilogy, from episode 6...
Because Kylo Ren stopped him before he could. He didn't...
In episode 6, like, there was a moment where Luke radically attacked Vader and would have killed Darth Vader if it wasn't for the fact the Emperor was like, good, now do it. And then he was like, I'm a monster. And then he's like, no, I didn't do that. So, when he had Kylo Ren, or Ben Solo, whatever the fuck you want to call him, when he had him, for a bit he thought about killing him again. Then he thought, and you can see this in the movie, Luke literally says something like this. Not word for word, but literally says, I realized that this would be wrong, and he decided not to do it. But right when he decided not to do it, Kylo Ren
That's not what the footage said.
No.
What?
It was like he thought, wait, what am I doing? This is totally out of character. I should have learned from this.
No, he was saying, like, no, this would be an evil thing to do. Like, how do you explain him thinking about killing his own father in episode 6, then? There's a moment of weakness, right? So how is that any different from...
He had a moment of weakness, but he went beyond that. And I'm going to throw a video game reference in here. But have any of us here besides me, played Star Wars Jedi Outcast?
I did.
I haven't. You'll have to explain that one.
I played Jedi.
Jedi Knight, Jedi Outcast. Luke Skywalker is actually in charge of the Jedi Temple on Tatooine. Or, not Tatooine. On Yavin 4, I think.
Oh, Yavin 4, yeah.
Yavin 4. And Luke is basically one of the instructors at that Jedi Temple.
I think he's the main instructor. He's like 30.
But a guy who... So the main villain in Star Wars Jedi Outcast is a lizard man called Dasan.
Yeah.
He was a student of Luke Skywalker's until he decided to leave and go his own way. He actually killed a Jedi in cold blood, so Luke basically threw him out. You don't get the sense that Luke is some malicious bastard that wants to kill Dasan. He still thinks that Dasan could be turned.
Yeah, and I think that interpretation is much. I do like that interpretation better. But I'm trying to say is I still found this interpretation to some degree interesting because I could see justification for it. Because I'm doing a shitload of projection here. This is a shitload subjective, and so I'm not trying to convince anyone. I'm just trying to show you guys that this is a possibility. I
mean, never mind the fact that this is his own son-in-law. Nephew, yeah.
Luke had a shitload of pressure after Return of the Jedi to return the Jedi Order to its proper place. Having another Sith Lord uprising happen would ruin everything. So he felt like he had pressure to do something, and he didn't actually do it.
What does he do? He caves in and says, "Oh, I'm not going to be a Jedi anymore. The Jedi are dead."
That's a whole other thing. Here's one thing.
Sorry, go ahead.
Last Jedi did a lot of things wrong, but if anything they did right, and I'll defend it for this, is that's parts of Luke's character. I'll get to the Force cutting off in a bit. What was it? Oh yeah. So anyway, though, my whole point is rewatch the movie or don't rewatch the movie. Set one scene, and you'll hear that Luke says that I decided against it. I ultimately decided that this was wrong and I shouldn't do it. And that if Kylo Ren had just fucking stayed asleep, everything would have been peachy and dandy. But no, he didn't fall asleep. He woke up, he saw that, made assumptions, which you could argue is good or bad or right.
I'd have a pretty hard time sleeping too if I heard the groaning of a lightsaber next to my head.
That is true. But Luke, my point is and stuff, Luke, yeah, it makes sense that Luke would consider it, but it wouldn't make sense if Luke actually did it. I agree with you guys. But that's the thing. Luke considered it, but he didn't actually do it. Thus, it makes sense. That part of it makes sense to me.
I don't think Luke would ever even consider that. That's the thing. If someone has not yet been turned to the dark side...
Why is everyone okay with him considering killing his own father, but not okay with
his father was a Sith Lord.
Kylo Ren was going to become a Sith Lord. You're the devil's advocate.
Kylo Ren was a Sith Lord. He was a student. I think Luke would have had the fortitude to try and about these sorts of things before deciding, "Oh, I'm just going to try and kill him." Before stopping right before the axe falls. Forgive the pun.
How do you know he didn't? How do you know he didn't do that?
Because they show. Well, here's the thing: if he did, they made no mention of it. They didn't look like he even tried.
Yeah.
Should have at least shown that he attempted it.
I hope I at least got across where I'm coming from.
There's no dialogue referring to him actually trying. There's just him considering that he might have to kill him.
Yeah. Fair enough. I hope I at least got across my point and people understand where I'm coming from and don't think I'm a blind fanboy. You think I'm a blind fanboy?
PoppaG did nothing wrong.
Thank you, Dolphin.
He just has the wrong thoughts.
I hear that enough in therapy. I don't need to hear it from you guys. Anyway, now as for Luke cutting himself off through the Force, like that's something that definitely is a lot more questionable. But to an extent, I can sort of see that because actually after that it kind of gets a little wonky. So maybe I won't defend this part, but I will
How about we address the elephant in the room when it comes to that movie? Why the fuck do we have a Mary Sue
character running around?
You mean Ray?
Ray. God damn, why do they have to call her Ray? Now I'm picturing Ray Ayanami from Evangelion holding a lightsaber. And even she would have been a better Jedi.
Yeah.
But
they call it Ray for Mary Sue. There, see, it works.
I agree, Ray's a shitty character. Like, there's a lot of things.
She's a character who has everything handed to her in both movies. She never had to train and instantly knows how to use the Force. She never had to fly a ship before, but pilots the Millennium Falcon like she's a friggin'
I agree.
expert.
I say I disagree with you guys. I say I totally agree. You don't need to convince me.
There's so much wrong with the new movies. It feels like J.J. Abrams has his fingerprints all over these films.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that you brought up a very good point I heard about Rey, is that what these new movies do, they switch the light and the dark side of the Force. So, you remember what Yoda said about the dark side? It's not that it's more powerful, it's easier. Well, Rey gets everything handed to her. Kylo Ren has to work his ass off, and yet he's the dark side, she's the light.
That is
not only that, but when you have a man who has such nasty temper tantrums that his own officers don't want to walk by him,
that's what I love about it.
Imposing figure.
I don't know why. That kind of makes me like him more. Like he's a pussy. I don't know.
A pussy as a villain.
Yeah, I know. I don't know.
And the fact he gets his butt kicked in the first movie, how do you take him seriously after that?
Well, to be fair,
by an untrained scrub, no less.
In their defense, he was pretty injured. He was already injured, I think.
Yeah, but his injury didn't slow him down.
Come on. We've seen Anakin with the how to put this, limbs and still be able to fight.
I think I could have sworn after he lost his limb, he just crumbled over like a limb.
Yeah, but pain makes the dark side stronger.
Anakin lost 3 of his. He didn't lose all 4 of his limbs. He only lost 3. Only. You don't only lose 3. But when he lost 3 of his limbs, he still had the strength to hold himself from falling into the lava. And keep in mind, he was still burning. He was close enough to the lava. He was burning. He was on fire, and he's still angry enough to shout at Kenobi.
That's true.
He wasn't, at that very moment, it'd be hard to tell if someone was crying or not. I don't think it would have mattered because I'm pretty sure his tear ducts would have been fucking
toasted. Yeah.
I think he was I think he was crying, but then the crying went away when he started to go on fire.
No, I think it was mostly. I think the only crying that would have occurred, the only crying that I ever saw during that entire fight, he thinks that Padme betrayed him.
I could have sworn there was a few. I could have sworn his eyes were purplish when he was
because the moisture in his eyes was probably being devoured by the heat.
Yep.
Good point. But I could have remembered. I could have sworn they were watery. I'll have to check out the movie at one point. Anyway,
my point is that the fight between Anakin and Obi-Wan, although not the best fight, still had a lot more going for it in terms of what the dark side was and what the light side was, compared to a character going from being a good character to a villain.
Yeah.
Like Anakin was no Mary Sue. He was.
Oh,
He was born basically to be the Jedi Jesus, which he never was really. But
Yeah. Well, here's the thing.
But he wasn't instantly liked by everyone as well either. That saves him from being a Mary Sue.
Yeah, well, to be fair, there are
really powerful either. The only thing he had going for him was his fast reflexes. Sorry, PoppaG, go ahead.
Okay. I'm not saying I disagree with you. Rey is totally a Mary Sue, and she's not a good character. But to be fair, there are definitely Mary Sue-ish elements in both Luke and Anakin. Like, Anakin was born to be Jesus. He's so great at everything. Luke Skywalker came from a farm, and he helped save a princess, and that instantly made him a good part to become part of the flying brigade on the Death Star, and he was the one that saved everyone.
Had going for him. It didn't make him a Mary Sue. Luke was always a good pilot.
Yeah, that is true. I was joking around.
There's a few blink and you miss it moments from that movie, where I think the commander says, "Are you really right to be flying a X-wing?" One of Luke's friends mentioned, "This is the best something pilot on Tatooine," and the commander just walks away.
That was actually cut content, I think. I think he called it a B-16. He was talking about a B-16, and I think there's one Star Wars game where you actually do pilot a B-16 and shoot at creatures.
Rats. Yeah, and he mentioned
Swamp rats. Yeah,
that shooting at rats who are smaller than 2 meters, that's possible in the B-16. Okay, so not only can Luke fight very small targets while moving fast, but he can shoot moving targets while moving fast. Okay, so it's very plausible that he could destroy the Death Star.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm taking my Star Wars nerd hat off now.
Anyway, to get back to the original point, which I don't entirely remember, is that saying about the
and Anakin to Kylo Ren and Rey.
Yeah. Like, the new movies, they're not the best. I don't think they're very good, but they're kind of like, I don't know, like, I guess they're fun. I don't know, like, I enjoy it in a shallow kind of way, with some legit good moments here and there. I don't really conceal them much. I don't know. I'm being too nice, I admit it. But, like, I refuse to say that Star Wars is dead. One, for the fact that I'm a fanboy and can't accept calling a series I love is dead. And two, if we say it's dead, that means, like, everything involved with it is dead. And, like, can we really say for a fact that the games, the comics, the books, everything is dead? Well, maybe we can.
Well, here's some major things that I don't like that they did with Star Wars that makes me feel like it's dead. Same reason with Star Trek. So here, let me go back to Star Trek before I continue, because I want to put this in perspective. Films, they really butchered Star Trek. Plagiarize a lot of what happened in the Wrath of Khan, but they ultimately completely changed general, because now Vulcan, the planet, is now gone, destroyed. Early on, like in this alternate version of what happens in the original series and in the Next Generation, Vulcan was always a planet that was there, but that's completely gone.
Thanks to that ridiculous red energy, whatever that was.
Good God. Not only that, but now Kirk supposedly has Vulcan blood inside his veins, because that's what they used to cure him of radiation. I mean, really? If that were the case, you'd think Spock would have survived when he went into the reactor in the Wrath of Khan. But those fallacies aside, the reason that Star Wars is ultimately dead to me now... Well, in the Force Awakens film, what do? They kill off 5 planets, one of which is the galactic financial center of the galaxy.
I was confused about that for the longest time. I was like,
they destroyed Coruscant, which was the galactic center of civilization.
And?
Well, I'm guessing they had to do that to get rid of the New Republic for however long it lasted.
I mean...
Well, I guess it deserved it. It was the most incompetent government ever if it didn't notice the First Order was building a massive death weapon. That was like the size of a planet.
And the Star Wars films are kind of stupid, but like I said, they're guilty pleasures.
kill off any potential for a lot of beloved novels to come to the big screen. It just ultimately makes the Star Wars universe a more bland place.
The way I always looked at it is that like Disney for some reason doesn't want to bring the extended universe to the big screen. So like you could either take the extended universe or take the Disney ones. You can take either one. I know what most people probably like, and like I haven't read much of the extended universe, so I'm not too familiar with it. But like
well, if you do ever decide to get around to reading, I would highly recommend Heir to the Empire.
Okay. But like,
Best.
The point of this thing, what they were trying to do is sort of be like, this is our version. If you like the other, like, don't support us. Well, I don't think that's what Disney's trying to say. But that's the way that I always saw it. What I'm thinking is, if it does go to complete shit, which it kind of is, then I'll just read the extended universe.
Mm.
So I probably will end up doing
I
eventually.
mean, I can understand, like, here's an alternate universe from what you understand. I could have seen that, but no, this was more like, fuck your old universe, this is ours. If you don't like it, fuck you.
Or if you don't like it, you just hate women, you're threatened by them. This message they're giving us so far.
That purple-haired fuck.
Yeah.
He single-handedly destroyed most of the rebellion right there.
Yeah. I mean, why couldn't they have just made her a first-order spy? That would have made sense of how she's such an incompetent leader. But no, they've got to emasculate Poe Dameron. They've got to make her the good guy.
I don't want to talk about The Last Jedi too much more in the future podcasts. I feel like I said,
good luck, PoppaG. Good luck. You're the one who said Rian Johnson's nothing wrong.
I feel like I said most of what I want to say about The Last Jedi and Disney Star Wars to an extension. Like, I don't think I've really defended them or whatnot. I feel like... I don't know. Do you guys...
Speaking of Space Jesus, how the fuck did Leia Superman herself... Mary Poppins herself back to the ship?
I'll keep on trying to ask a question and you keep on interrupting me. God damn it.
I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm joking around. Anyway, like, do you guys at least understand where I'm coming from in my, like, how I view things and stuff? Have I done at least that at all, or have I completely fucked that up as well?
Based on its own merits, I can see that.
But I'm completely stupid, right?
No, you're not completely stupid.
If you like the movie based on its own merits, outside of its continuity or whatever, then I can see that being fine.
Like I said, I think it's like a guilty pleasure where it's like it's kind of shitty, but it's like there's certain things about it that really appeal to me, and that sort of makes the movie for me. Like even if it doesn't make sense, I kind of like the idea of a jaded look. I kind of like certain themes in the movie, and like even though it's like it is really retarded when you break it down and stuff and whatnot. But it's like like I said, there's certain things that like sort of. Like, I don't know. I didn't go into the movie. Like the thing is, I went into the movie with really low standards, expecting to completely hate it. And then when I ended up having a fun time, I was like, oh, that was actually kind of fun. No, like maybe it's because I went in with such low standards and whatnot. So like maybe that's what's helped me. But, like I don't know. The point is that it's not the best Star Wars thing ever, and that this is like I don't think Disney knows what they're doing. And I'm not a fanboy, so hopefully that prevents me from being grouped in with the Insano people. That's all I've ever hoped for to accomplish, and I think I have done a decent job of that. So what do you guys think?
Mostly, I think.
I haven't heard any flat Earth theories coming out of you, so I guess you're fine.
Well, that's the thing. Like the Earth being round is just this. Never mind. That's the
I'm throwing a wrench into this, aren't I?
I don't know. The funny thing is, I don't even remember what the fuck we were originally talking about that led us to talk about Star Wars. For the last several podcasts, it's just haunted me. But something that's never gonna leave me. Like there were several times I've said to myself, I'm done talking about Last Jedi. I'm gonna avoid talking about it in the podcast at all costs, and then
you subvert your own expectations, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, let's break up the topic a little bit, and I'll start a new topic. How about that Sea of Thieves game?
Yeah, Sea of Thieves. Anyway, I love talking with you, Jay Inquisitor. Like it. I love having debates about Last Jedi. It's really fun, despite the annoyances of it. But anyway, Sea of Thieves. It's a game that sounds like it's more disguised as an early access game.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm guessing it
It's
tried
got-
to be Assassin's Creed 4 without the tailing missions and wasn't that successful.
Actually, a funny thing, a lot of people compare it to No Man's Sky, and in Angry Joe's review, he said, well, even No Man's Sky had more content than this game.
like, I think what it was trying to be, it wasn't trying to be Assassin's Creed from what I can tell of it. It looks like it was trying to be its own sort of thing, like, where it's like, hey, you're with your friends and you fight people and you're on this adventure and the whole fun is like you're hanging out with friends or whatnot. But, like, the problem is no one stopped to say, yeah, but people can hang out with their friends any day by doing anything. How does this make it special?
From the looks of it, it looks like they wanted to have their own little Pirates of the Caribbean MMO.
Yeah. I feel like
You got like the Kraken and all that stuff. You got your ship fights. You got your weird island exploration.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is that that's all well and good. But there's so little content. The missions don't vary at all, except for 2 different varieties of missions.
Yeah. Well, not just that. Like, I see what they were trying. Also, I think all the progression items, like all the items you can get in the game, are just cosmetic, which on some level I can understand because, like, if you have a massive PvP world, you're like, if you have people that can level up, you're probably gonna get people who are just camping everywhere with super high levels constantly.
True, but like a lot of people are saying, there's literally no penalty to dying in that game. You
Really?
spawn with a new ship, all new gear and everything.
Yeah, like, even besides that, like, to be fair, what else are they gonna do? You're just gonna not get a ship and, like, do nothing for the rest of your life in the game? Well, I guess, and then...
I mean, I suppose if you're just one of those people that likes to just pretend you're sailing through the water, that's okay. But I mean, that goes stale really fast.
Yeah, at least give us some sea shanties to sing while we're sailing.
Yeah.
At least Black Flag gave us that, you know.
Yeah, that was the only reason I really went on land most of the time, just get more shanties.
Yeah. The shanties are cool. Or they could at least read the entirety of The Last Jedi and explain to the idiots of the world why it's a masterpiece. Okay, enough Star Wars jokes. Anyway.
You're a masochist, aren't you?
Yeah, he is. I think that's why I enjoy having him on so much. I'm a sadist, he's a masochist, that's why we get along.
Well, here's the thing. I'm a master troll and stuff. I can piss anyone off very easily. Just give me 5 minutes, and I will piss, like, literally anyone off. Like, let me just, like, leave me 5 minutes with someone. Let me get to know them, and I'll be able to piss them off easily. Anyway, back on topic. I'm really
Yes, we
sad.
can talk about Facebook, trying to defeat Twitch and YouTube and game streaming now.
Before we go to that, can I mention one other thing about CFCs?
Okay.
Like, besides being bad, I kind of expected it to not be very good, just because due to Rare's recent reputation and, like, the state of Microsoft exclusives. At the same time, I couldn't help but have a bit of hope and be like, come on, Rare, come back. Like, you can do it, you know?
Well, that's the thing. You can see that this game has a lot of potential. There's a canvas here that just waits to be filled.
Yeah, it seems
And
like...
not only that, it looks like a pretty decent game. I actually gave Rare credit for having the game run really well on the Xbox One S, and only some slight frame rate dips on the Xbox One X because the game runs at actual 4K on there, supposedly.
Yeah. And it's like, from what I've seen, it sounds like the fundamentals are there, but like there's just not enough there at the moment. Maybe they'll update it in the future and add massive amounts of content, but until then we have to judge it as is, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I don't know. To be fair, though, and also another point to bring up is that the people who are working at Rare now are probably completely different from the people who were working at Rare, like, several years ago, because, like, most of the main people who were working at Rare during the Nintendo era, I think, have long since left.
Yeah.
So, like, there's a lot of new people there and stuff. So, like, we'll probably never be able to get the same Rare again. So, but, like, what I'm really hoping for, I really hope in the future, like, the game gets massively updated and it becomes a really great game and stuff, because, like, it looks like it could be a fun game, and I really would love a success story after years and years of them floundering. You know. Think could
Some
happen.
major renovations in that game in order for it to appeal to other guys. Because I myself, I look at that game and I think, that looks kind of cool, but it's just so barren.
Yeah. Do you think it could happen though? Do you think they could turn it around, or think it's too little, too late?
The biggest problem with Sea of Thieves is that it's nothing new. It's already been done. If you've played Black Flag, or if you played Assassin's Creed Rogue, you've basically already played what Sea of Thieves has to offer.
One thing I think I like about Sea of Thieves, or that I would like about Sea of Thieves, is Assassin's Creed didn't have that it really aggravated me was Assassin's Creed and non-Assassin's Creed. In Sea of Thieves, it looks like you can go into the bottom part of your ship. Which may sound really minor to you, but that always really bugged me in Assassin's Creed. I was like, let me go to the bottom part, what the fuck, you know?
Why would you want to go to the crew's quarters?
Oh, it's because I like to really get the feeling of this is a mobile home in a way, you know?
Dude, let's go to your quarters. That's what the point of it was.
Well, yeah, but
Wait, I just thought of something. Isn't there a game on PC on Steam where it's the same concept as Sea of Thieves, but it's like a first-person shooter.
what is it called?
There's a game I saw people playing on PC. It has it's mostly just ship-to-ship combat, made in a far more realistic manner, but I can't remember. I know there was boarding other ships, but not with freaking cannon. I forget what it's called. But it basically had the exact same formula as Sea of Thieves. I'm starting to wonder if Rare even has their own ideas anymore.
Maybe they just looked at that and said, hey, let's fuck that off. We'll put it in an MMO.
But that.
Well, I don't mind some people taking other ideas as long as they do it well.
Yeah,
I mean,
or
The Legend of Zelda, for example, wasn't the very first game to use the open world, go around killing monsters to save the princess format. Hydlide actually did it before Zelda did. But Zelda did it right.
I'll have to take your word for it since I never played High.
Well, for a controller with 4 directions and 2 buttons, yeah.
Yeah, watch Pro Jared's video on Hydlide. There you do it.
Okay. I'll definitely do that. So, do you want to talk about Facebook now, or do you have anything else to say on Sea of Thieves?
Actually, I'm not even sure what we talk about with Facebook, besides the fact that they want to take on Twitch and YouTube. Yeah, good luck, Zuckerberg. And besides that, I guess we can last talk about Count Dankula being arrested in the UK, and how the ideas might start coming here next.
Yeah, well, there's one other thing I want to talk about after that, but let's talk about the Count Dankula for now.
Okay.
So, Count Dankula, the guy who taught his dog to salute, Nazi salute, and, apparently getting arrested for that. I'm personally offended by this because as a white Nazi myself, I think it's wrong to villainize the Nazi culture. I mean,
I'm sorry. Did you just say what I thought you said?
He says all kinds of weird stuff, just ignore it.
I mean, come on, look. I know Hitler gave us a bad rap, but not all Nazis are bad, okay? We just
Nazis
we just want a very peaceful ethno-cleansing of the Jewish people, okay?
Yeah.
We want to do it peacefully this time. We don't want to put them into internment camps.
How do you do something peacefully without actually killing someone?
Or we're going to still kill them, but we're going to do it with AK-47.
Then.
Okay?
So you're gonna copy Stalin, basically, and be a socialist instead. Which is what Nazis are, now I think about it.
Pretty much, but we're going to be cooler about it, We're going to have the cool tattoos, the cool armbands. Socialists are boring, The Nazis are going to be the hip crowd.
They already tried that. Nazis.
Well, we can try again. Also, for the record, this is me joking around. I'm not actually a Nazi, okay? I can greatly condemn the Nazi party. It's just a joke. Disclaimer. I just wanted to say that in case anyone somehow took me seriously.
Well, you mean just like how they take the term master race seriously?
Yeah. Anyway, back on topic. What are your guys' thoughts on this ridiculous situation? I think it's pretty bullshit and really stupid. I don't care if you're offended by it or not. Why would you get arrested for just, I don't know, it's just retarded.
I mean,
I guess because it's the UK.
it from this perspective, and I don't want to go too political, but the UK right now is rapidly becoming a Muslim populated.
From what I've heard, it sounds like that.
Yeah, and one of the things they hate is Nazism.
Yeah, so they stopped Nazism by becoming the Stasi, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost becoming a meme by this point. Look, when George Orwell wrote 1984, I'm guessing you didn't read the part where he said, "This is a warning, it's not an instruction manual."
Well, maybe it was an instruction manual all along, and like we were just too stupid to realize it. Maybe it was really, I don't know. Maybe the book was right all along. I don't know. Sorry, though. I don't know.
Well, these guys, I mean, they don't have these visions for nothing.
Yeah.
Anyway, like, it was really something worrisome, and I hope everything... That sounds really shallow, but, like, all I can really say at this point is I hope everything turns out alright. Like, Jesus, like, just wrong, you know? I say a lot of, I say a lot of edgy shit on this podcast that I don't mean and stuff. Like...
That's fine.
I don't want to get sent to jail because I say a bunch of edgy shit. Like, I mean, I'm sure DolphinVi hates my edgy shit, but, like, it was my idea for this podcast, so screw him. And
Heil! And then I have, like, the FBI knocking on my door.
Yeah, well, also, I'm Brain and he's Pinky, so he follows everything I do.
Yeah, I let him think that, don't worry.
Same thing we do every night, Spingy. Trying to take over the world.
Anyway, it's just kind of ridiculous. I don't even know what else to say beyond that. Do you have anything to say?
Anyway.
Yeah, I guess not.
No, not really.
In that case, I think there's one other thing I'd like to discuss for tonight, and before we go out, and that is on piracy and emulation. Does that sound like a good idea?
Yeah, okay.
So everyone knows that I'm assuming everyone knows what emulation is out. For those of you who don't know, stop living under a rock. Not going to go into what emulation is right now, unless someone else wants to go into it. But pretty much, me and Dolphin mostly, I don't know. Well, at least I don't know about DolphinVi, but I've been wondering in my spare time is that, for the most part, I do think piracy and emulation are very different things, but I briefly touched on this in the previous podcast with lethality, but I have to ask, is in certain situations, is for example, say there's a game already available that you can get easily on PC, but you can just emulate it instead. Is that really any different than piracy?
Here's my stance on it. So as far as the whole emulation and piracy, emulation is just, copying what another set of hardware does to play a game. If you already own that title, say you have the disc, emulation should be considered piracy.
I do agree.
You're downloading the ROMs.
I'm sorry. The question comes in though is what if what if people start I don't know if a lot of people do this. I don't know the statistics or whatnot, but what if people start just emulating titles and not buying them and whatnot? You think that
what I was gonna say, if you're not buying the title and you're just downloading the ROMs, then I think it starts to dip into the darker side.
Yeah.
Titles that are say decades old and there's no way you'll ever see them again, on the market. I think there's a point where resale, there's a thing that we older gamers used to talk about, which is resale value.
Yeah.
Value starts to drop and to a certain point you'll be able to find games for free.
Yeah.
Nowadays are trying to completely upset the whole resale value by making things
it's mine forever.
They want to
That's
keep
actually a
it.
pretty good impersonation. That was good there.
Don't steal the precious.
I'm sorry.
Actually kind of creepy. Oh my god, that was really good.
But my point is that these companies, they want to hold so tightly onto these things that if they think they can get money off of it, they will do everything in their power to make sure that they can remove or destroy any attempt at someone getting the game for free, even if the game's 20 years old.
Yeah. Yeah, that one has
At a certain point, there has to be a balance. Like if the
That,
game's
and there's
really
some
really
games-
old, if they still want to sell it, at least sell it for cheap. Don't be like Nintendo and charge exorbitant prices for really old games, or like EB games where you give them a copy of Final Fantasy. It's really dumb. I was looking at a copy of Final Fantasy 15. It was $20 for and $49.99 for a used copy.
Yeah.
That's a really dirty way to do business.
I'm probably pretty spoiled from that because to me that sounds like a decent deal.
The used copy was actually a more complete version of the game.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
It was a steelbook edition, so it had like the CD soundtrack, it had all this other stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas the new copy was just a bare bones version of the game.
Yeah. Yeah, that is something that's the problem. One other thing, that I think is the deal with emulation with part of why it's so popular in the first place is that, what was it? Oh yeah, I remember now. It's that the big thing with emulation is that there's a lot of console titles that have been exclusive in the past and are still exclusive to this day, like the original Crash Bandicoot games and a bunch of other games for the PlayStation 2. Some of the earlier Yakuza games, which I'm one day going to try to sell DolphinVi on.
Right.
You can't play them unless you get a PlayStation 2 or emulate it. And really, which
Legitimate copy of the game, I think it's perfectly fine to emulate it because you bought that copy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing about emulation, if it's fifth generation or earlier, emulation doesn't seem to be too big of a deal. But once you cross into if it's sixth generation or earlier, it doesn't seem to be a big deal. Once you go into seventh and eighth gen, it's viewed as this this piratey. It's piracy now. It's completely illegal to use this game on anything but the expected hardware.
Yeah. Do you think that's fair, or do you think that's unfair?
Hmm.
You're not sure?
I was focused on this part of the game.
Okay. What do you think, Dolphin? Do you think that's the fair thing, or do you think that's unfair?
Okay, just run that by me again. It's if we.
If what we were just describing, do you think it's fair in regards to how emulation is viewed?
As long as it's an older title, it's okay to emulate, but otherwise you should have a copy of the game before you try it. Is that about right?
I was saying that if you have a copy of the game, emulating it is fine. It's just that once you cross into seventh and eighth gen, it seems to be, from a corporate standpoint anyway, it seems to be viewed as this
semi-piracy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can agree with that. It's why I have a copy of Breath of the Wild, despite the fact I can emulate it.
You have the GameCube version or the Switch version?
I have the Switch version of Breath of the Wild.
Like, you just say the GameCube version?
I'm sorry, I meant to say Wii U version.
Okay, I was cut off guard by that. Anyway.
So you have the Switch version? How would you emulate that?
When I emulate the Wii U version, I just have the Switch version as well, because I thought it was a good game.
Because if you had the Wii U version, I could see that being put into a computer and running on an emulator.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. Runs especially well now that SEMU has been upgraded.
Anyway, one other thing I was wondering, this is still on topic, but this is a little different from gaming, but what I have to wonder is it ever right to pirate? Because, one example of this is, this is in gaming, you mentioned, Inquisitor. You mentioned an anime called Evangelion earlier, right?
Evangelion? Yeah.
Yeah, Right. And like the thing is, like that anime, I was actually telling Dolphin before the podcast start that right now you can't technically legally view that anime except for through some maybe really old DVDs that are almost impossible to find because it's currently in licensing hell. And like so, like right now, if you want to watch what is considered by many to be like an important anime that had a big effect on a lot of shows at the time, then like you have no choice but to pirate it. And like what I'm wondering is.
Entirely true. You can special order the DVD collections, like the Platinum Edition.
Oh, really?
Well, it's just not easy to find. That's
or you
all.
could have to find used editions, I guess, on eBay.
Then
I actually had Volume 1 of the Platinum Edition.
Like either way, though, like that's still like a little bit of a hassle. And like what I'm wondering is if you like
the big thing about pirating, a lot of people use the excuse that if it's not available, that it's okay. Technically, in the case of Evangelion, it is available. It just requires a bit of extra effort to acquire. I mean, does that mean it's okay to pirate it if you don't want to go through the trouble? Well, no, I don't think you should pirate something just because it's work.
Like one thing I think Gabe Newell once said. And like I'm not saying I agree with him, but like he said once that pirating isn't necessarily like a user problem; it's like a distributing problem. Or I'm misquoting him as fuck, but like what he was basically saying was that like the main reason people pirate is due to the availability of said product or whatnot, not necessarily due to the fact that they don't want to pay or something.
Also, right. Like I think using Evangelion is kind of a disingenuous example because it is available; it's just not easy to acquire.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
But it's like, but still though, it's harder than like the average term.
Yeah, but I think if you are truly a fan of it, you'll find a way to get it without pirating.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I mean, I can't remember who said it, but it's like if you really want something, you'll find a way. If you don't, you'll find an excuse.
Still though,
Like if I wanted to get the entire series of Robotech, I would shell out the $120 for the complete DVD package.
Fair enough. But like here's the thing though and stuff is it's like the business isn't readily acquiring, like I'm not saying like this is what I do, I'm just posing a counter argument. Like say a company isn't providing you with the service you want the way you want, like would you as a consumer have the right to like not buy the product or whatnot? But so then why is it that much, then why is pirating that? Well,
if you don't want to buy the product, then why are you getting it illegitimately in the first place?
What I mean is if the company isn't supplying you the product, it's the speed and efficiency at a reasonable price that you want, then why is it immoral to then?
In that case, you present you tell them that what you want, and if they don't give you what you want, you don't pay them. You don't patronize them.
Fair enough.
Like they have to, if they really want to keep their business, they'll conform to what you want. But if you don't want something that they're offering, why would you pirate it in the first place?
That's true. That was like the last bit at the end was a little bit of a bad example, but I think I see what you're getting. I just want to make it clear, like I'm not a pirate. I'm like everything I get, pretty much everything I get illegally. I've only watched it, like most things I watched.
Is that because from where I am, it sounded like you said everything you get illegally.
It did sound like that, PoppaG. It did.
I'm sorry, I mispronounced it. I was trying to say pretty much everything I consume, at least media wise, is like bought legally. Okay, like I buy it through the proper channel.
Okay, that sounds better.
I do that. The only thing I've ever kind of pirated is I've once or twice watched an anime that wasn't on any of the legal. I watched a few anime that weren't on any of the legal sites on an illegal site, and I don't feel too bad about that just because it was. 1 minute. Sorry, I got a text. Sorry about that, guys. I got a text. Anyway, as I was saying, like the only things I've ever sort of pirated was a couple shows that weren't on any of the legal sites that I really wanted to watch and I wasn't sure of, so I started watching it on pirates. Do you think that's like bad of me, or do you think like I should have gone the extra effort?
Okay. Well, for any form of media, if there's a will, someone's going to find a way to get it.
Yeah.
Like there's certain channels on YouTube that post entire anime films from the 80s. Amazingly, haven't been taken down. So I mean, anyone on YouTube could just go over there and watch one of the really old films, like
But could you argue that could
like
be
Angel Child.
Could you argue that's a form of
Technically, it is. Technically, it is a form of piracy, but if you really want to stay on the straight and narrow, like, don't patronize it at all. Don't watch it. But I mean, I can see why people would want to not do that if they want to get it on DVD or on Blu-ray, if it's available on Blu-ray. That means you're getting a better quality version of what's been posted on YouTube.
And like it's like here's the thing, like if you guys think I'm in the wrong in anything I do, feel free to call me out on it because I'm a big boy. I can be told that I'm doing something wrong. I'm not saying
okay. That's the thing. We've all done it from at one point or another.
Yeah.
Like I'm not going to point fingers at you and say you're wrong because I've done it myself.
Yeah, but it's like, but yeah, I think it's wrong to like make a habit of it and like to just fully rely on it.
Don't be one of these guys that has like these 8 terabyte external hard drives and just does nothing but download tons and tons of media and archive it on there.
Anytime I can do something. Like I very rarely like go to the illegal sites for anime. Mostly I go to the legal sites, and even then it's very rarely. For the most part, I stick to whenever I can, I go to the legal sites to watch what I want. And if I ever watch something on the illegal sites that I really really love, I always like either buying it or like somehow.
You want to find it a bit easier? Have you tried Crunchyroll?
That's what I'm saying and stuff. That's one of the legal sites. I watch most things on Crunchyroll.
There are some apps out there or services that do try to provide as much of the older anime as possible.
Yeah.
Or anything, but they do allow you to watch it to your leisure.
Yeah. And like for the most part, I do that stuff. I'm just saying every once in a blue moon there is something that happens where I really, despite how much I look, I can't find it, and then like in that case I don't feel too much guilt. But like what I'm trying to say here is that I'm a good boy who does nothing wrong. That I try to do things.
Well, you can't say you've done nothing wrong because that would be disingenuous. What you're trying to say is that you're not an evil person.
Yeah. And most of the time I either go to Crunchyroll or one of the other like sites and stuff. You know what I mean? Like I'm almost always trying to do things by the rules, and like if I ever come across something I absolutely love, then I'll buy it on Blu-ray. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I try to do anyway.
He tries to do the right thing.
Yeah.
I hope I'm not considered an evil mastermind in your eyes now.
Nah, you're a platypus. No one could hate a platypus.
Fair enough.
Unless your name is Dr. Doofenshmirtz, anyway.
Yeah. Ha 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 ha.
Yeah, thumbs up to anyone who gets that reference.
I get the reference.
Unfortunately, I don't.
Yeah, lucky.
Okay. Just look up Phineas and Ferb and you'll figure it out. Anyway. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about tonight, or should we call it a night?
Let me check. Is there anything else?
How long have we been doing this?
Almost 2 hours.
Wow, that was really
Pretty good podcast.
Yeah, they tend to go in random directions, a lot of these podcasts. So they end up lasting a lot longer than we plan them to.
Yeah. Well,
See the edited version, I'll expect to see some Gollum pictures edited over when I do the voices.
That'd be great.
That could be something I'd do.
That'd be fun.
See, like this picture of Gollum cradling this little package of games, saying "They're mine."
Maybe if I end up saying Ryan Johnson did nothing wrong, we should put an image of Ryan Johnson with a halo over his head or something.
Was I?
So remember, everyone, Ryan Johnson did do nothing wrong. He is a good boy. Out of curiosity, just out of mild curiosity, have you seen any of Ryan Johnson's other movies?
No.
What about you?
Can't say I'm familiar with the guy as a director, so.
Okay, fair enough. I haven't seen really any of his other films either. Anyway, this is really fun. I did not expect to talk about The Last Jedi again, but it seems to be inevitable to never escape me.
Well, you are the one who started it. Don't go whining.
Okay, I won't.
In the presence of an Inquisitor, for no doubt.
Either way, have a good night, everyone. This was a lot of fun. Maybe we'll have Inquisitor on again at one point. Or maybe we'll kill him off. Or maybe we'll kill him off screen to join the lethality. Yeah,
Yeah, hopefully not.
yeah, hopefully not.
I'll do it. I'll do what I can to stay entertaining. Don't worry.
This has been PoppaG, DolphinVi, and the Inquisitor, and we've had a lot of fun, I think.
Yeah.
Good night.
So next week we'll do the same thing we do every week. Try to take over the world.
Yes, and Ryan Johnson never does anything wrong. He only does the right thing.
Yeah, if you say so, Pinky. Okay, good night till next week.
Good night.
Later.